Back three formations are rapidly taking over top-flight football. Thanks to a select few managers, these formations have received countless transformations since they were first introduced. The high amount of attacking players along with the width it naturally creates make it extremely difficult to defend against. And always having three defensive players to rely on make it just as difficult to break down. The 3-4-3 was first introduced in the late 1980s in Italy, where there was an excess of great centre-backs. However, in the modern game, a back three is a sign of a very offensive formation, and some of the top clubs in Europe are currently playing with a back three system. In the Serie A, Antonio Conte's Inter Milan are currently top of the league, with the best attack and the second best defence. In the Premier League, newly appointed Thomas Tuchel is currently unbeaten with his 3-4-3, and has made Chelsea look a lot more stable at the back, only conceding 2 goals since his appointment at the end of January. In the Bundesliga, Red Bull Leipzig are pushing Bayern Munich every match week, currently in second place with the joint best defensive record. And finally, in La Liga, Diego Simeone is slowly shifting out of his 4-4-2 days, and the back three variants he's played this season have seen Atletico become favourites for the Spanish La Liga. They currently have the second best defensive record in Europe's top 5 leagues, demonstrating Simeone's defensive genius. Before looking at the tactics, let's take a look at what the essential roles are within a back three system. Starting with the back three, the middle centre-back will perform the role of the libero. The libero can be defined as a ball-playing sweeper who will help carry the ball forward to help initiate attacks, but will also be the last line of defence when the opposition are attacking. Leipzig's libero Upamecano has been excellent this season, and on the ball has the highest average passes per game and the most long balls, and defensively has the most clears in the team. The libero is supported by 2 other central defenders, whose main function is to cover and be wary of any long balls floated in behind if possession is lost. However, they must also be excellent ball players, given that when building up play from the back, they will be the first to receive the ball from the goalkeeper, and will be tasked with breaking the first line of the offensive pressure. Inter Milan's partnership of Bastoni and Skriniar are arguably some of the best in this position, with excellent pass completion rate, clears and blocks, and have proven to be excellent at starting Inter's attacks. The wingbacks are arguably one of the most crucial roles in the back three, given that they will usually be the ones providing width on the attack, but will also create defensive majority when on the back foot. As part of the midfield, they will need to have good stamina and support both attack and defence consistently throughout the match. We can see their importance with Inter Milan's Hakimi and Perisic, who as a pair have provided 8 goals and 8 assists, along with 1.4 crosses per game and also higher than team average tackles and interceptions. The central midfielders are the bridge between defence and attack. In most variations of a back three, the midfielders will usually consist of one more attacking box-to-box midfielder and one deep-lying playmaker who protects the back three. This is highly evident in Chelsea's midfield partnership of Kovacic and Jorginho. Kovacic will usually play further up the pitch and support the strikers and the fullbacks, while Jorginho is usually the first to receive the ball from the back three. One thing to note is that generally the midfielders in a 3-4-3 will be more defensive compared to other formations such as the 4-3-3, and aren't usually relied on too heavily on the attack. In a 3-4-3, the wingers are essential to counterattacks, using their pace to receive the ball to attack the opposition's defence. During the attacking phase, they usually shift inside to the half spaces and act as inside forwards, making regular runs into the final third, and looking for the striker or late runs on the edge of the box. When playing in a 3-4-3, Atletico have an excellent front three of Llorente, Felix and Suarez, with the 2 wingers often overlapping or acting as support for Suarez. The striker in this formation can be versatile depending on the specific role given by the manager. A false 9 would provide an option for the midfielders by receiving the ball from an attacking position, while an out-and-out striker would stay deep in the final third. In Atletico Madrid's 3-5-2, we see this in Suarez and Felix, with the latter usually dropping deep in the midfield to receive the ball, and Suarez pushing up against the back line. As you can see, this formation does require a lot of specific players to occupy the different positions on the pitch, and as such, not every team will be able to play with a back three. Now, let's take a look at how the team can work together and create gaps in the opposition's defence. In the modern game, any successful team will aim to build up play from the back line. Playing with a back three ensures the goalkeeper has enough options to start their attack, and the wide centre-backs will usually drop deep on the edge of the box, with the fullbacks moving up alongside the midfielders. If the opposition is pressing high up the pitch, then the goalkeeper can aim to chip the ball into the wingbacks. If they're marked as well, then this is actually a sign for the goalkeeper to go long to the striker, given that now the defence will find themselves in a tricky situation. To avoid this, teams playing against the back three will often wait to engage in the high press, and will usually attempt to cover any balls into the midfield. and so if unmarked, the keeper will pass the ball to the wide centre-back, and here is where we can already see the advantages that this formation brings. Firstly, it creates a vertical triangle with the CDM and the fullback, which is a very effective way of breaking the first line of the press. If the winger also moves out wide, then this will form a diamond on the side with the ball, and can allow the centre-back to bypass the midfield to find the winger. This is something we see a lot in Gasperini's 3-4-2-1 at Atalanta, who will also stay wide on the other wing and form a double diamond shape which stretches the opposition. With these triangle and diamond shapes on the wing, the opposition is forced to commit a lot of players on the wing to close the space out. And by doing this, a 3-4-3 or a 3-5-2 formation is excellent at exploiting switches in play, given that the other flank will often have a lot of space if the opposition commits to the press. If the opposition, however, decides to stick wide to cover the switch, then this will often free up space down the centre for either the striker to drop deep or for the box-to-box midfielder to attack. Another option could see the wide centre-back overlapping through the half space, where he's unlikely to be followed by his marker. It's something that Rudiger has been seen doing a few times in Chelsea's previous league matches under Tuchel. In the final third, the opposition is forced to commit a high number of players to block all the spaces. And on the full attack, the formation can often resemble a 3-2-5 or a 3-3-4. Having 5 players on the offensive line creates a lot of options for the team to exploit. Firstly, it can easily create 2v1 situations out wide, with the fullback linking up with either the winger or one of the 2 strikers. This can help teams get in behind the defence and provide outswinging crosses to either the striker or the back post for the other winger drifting inside. Secondly, with 5 players up top, each of the 5 key spaces are occupied by a player, and the 2 midfielders can easily help create an overload on the side with the ball. With the front 2, the attacking team can choose to either sacrifice some of the space on the opposing wing, but with the advantage of having 1 extra midfielder on the edge of the box to help deliver balls in behind or take a shot from outside the area. So during build-up, there's no significant difference between a 3-4-3 and a 3-5-2. Both will need to complete the same tasks to reach the final third. However, once the team is in the final third, this is where we can spot the true difference. Firstly, a 3-4-3 will aim to maintain its natural width and stretch the opposition's back 4. By doing this, they can exploit the spaces between the defenders, while a 3-5-2 on the other hand will aim to play more narrow and direct, sacrificing some of this width for an extra player in midfield to help support the strikers. Moving on, having 3 centre-backs isn't just great for building up play from the back, it's also an excellent way of stopping the opposition from advancing up the pitch. When defending, the forwards play a key part in the first phase, and they're usually instructed to pressure the opposition's defence and force them into mistakes high up the pitch. It's a very good formation for high-pressing teams, given that the fullbacks can push up and pin the opposing fullbacks, allowing the front 3 to screen any passes into the middle. However, it's also effective in teams that prefer to sit back, such as in Atletico Madrid, who will often not engage their press until the opposition enters the midfield. By doing this, they almost immediately switch to a 5-4-1, ensuring the opposition has little space to move forward. If the opposition is able to cross the first line of the press, then the midfield must be able to block any passes into the middle of the pitch, and will attempt to push the opposition out wide, where the team is able to effectively defend with a fullback and 1 wide centre-back covering the half space, and by using the touchline as an extra defender. In the final defensive phase is where we see the importance of the libero. The central centre-back, when defending, will cover the other players and provide extra support in case it's needed, or cover any gaps if a player is out of position. He's extremely effective when doubling the pressure on one of the forwards, and ensuring there are no gaps in the middle. When defending in the final third of the pitch, the formation will resemble a 5-4-1, with the striker being the only outlet for any long balls and chances of counter-attacks. Having 3 centre-backs ensures the front and back posts are covered, and will make it difficult for the opposition to outnumber them in the box. While this formation may seem perfect on paper, it does require the team to constantly be working together and communicating effectively, and, if executed poorly, can be vulnerable to specific styles of play. Firstly, in a back 3, the team can at times find themselves vulnerable to quick counters. If the fullbacks have pushed up on the flanks, opposition wingers can be played in behind on the wing, and could find themselves in a 1v1 situation against one of the wide centre-backs. Secondly, when in a 3-4-3, having only 2 central midfielders can often leave the defence exposed, specifically in wide areas of the midfield, where the opposition will usually have a lot of time on the ball to create an attack. The midfield must be able to shield the back 3, and if not, will be vulnerable to balls played between the lines. Finally, with the libero's responsibility of runs in field, the player cannot afford to lose the ball while initiating attacks. Given that the fullbacks are already starting high up the pitch, if the libero loses the ball, then the team will immediately be on the back foot and will have to defend while outnumbered. For this reason, excellent ball-playing centre-backs are almost essential for this formation to be effective. With more and more teams opting into a back three system every season, it could soon become the most popular formation within the sport. It's an excellent counter to the 4-3-3 and the 4-2-3-1 formations, which are very common in the current meta, and teams are constantly having to find new ways of breaking down a back three. What are your thoughts on the back three, and do you think it'll increase in popularity over the next few seasons? Leave your thoughts in the comments down below, and if you like this type of video, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching.